Thank you for joining me. I'm Juan. Been trading and investing for over a decade. Went back to school to become a financial analyst, and I want to make trading and investing easy for you. So today's just a quick, superficial overview on a text that I received about a company called Life. I just wanted to do a brief overview. No DCF, no deep dive, just a basic superficial review. But I want to sum it up with one word. And I'm going to let Biden sum it up with one word.
It can be defined in a single word. I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping traveling.
Okay, on a serious note, there was a little bit of hype today because this article came out saying that they received orphan drug status. Orphan drug status, it was a program initiated by the FDA to encourage research and development for rare diseases. And what it means is a company knows that there's an incentive to find a cure for a rare disease. And if they're granted orphan drug status, like this company did, for 7 years, they're given exclusive marketing rights for their drug. Because the research and development for these drugs, these rare diseases, are very, very expensive. So this is just a nice incentive. So this is good news. The orphan drug status is for a drug that they have efzofitimod, and it's for systemic sclerosis. So what is systemic sclerosis? It's basically a group of rare diseases that involve hardening and tightening of the skin. It may also cause problems in the blood vessels, internal organs, and digestive tract. The issue with it is if it's localized versus systemic. If it's localized, which usually occurs in children, it'll just be some red marks, some sort of redness or morphea, just kind of like this hardening localized on the skin, which isn't as serious as when it becomes systemic. And when it becomes systemic, it can go to the heart, to the lungs. And in the lungs, it can cause pulmonary fibrosis, which is a serious condition. So right now, there's no cure for it. They treat the symptoms. And they do this with corticosteroids. Sometimes they use some immunosuppressants or calcium channel blockers. But they're not really curing the problem. They're treating some of the symptoms. Doctors don't know exactly what causes the process to begin, but the body's immune system appears to play a role. Most likely, it's caused by a combination of factors, including immune system problems, genetics. So they don't know why it starts. But when it does start, it's basically an overproduction and accumulation of collagen in the body tissue. And this is an autoimmune disease. Again, so that means that it's basically when your immune system attacks healthy tissue, thinking it's a foreign body. This can be extremely dangerous. So complications can go from fingertips, kidneys, heart. We're going to focus on the lungs because that's where their focus is. If we see here like the redness and the swelling of the hands, you see here's another picture. This is kind of how it looks on the skin. So looking at the company's pipeline, you see they focus here on the pulmonary aspect of it, how it works, their drug, efzofitimod. So we have here the disease, you have the autoimmune disease, and the body reacts by T cell activation and these pro-inflammatory cytokine, and this triggers the receptor of the NRP2, and there's an upregulation which causes the inflammatory response. So if you allow this inflammatory response to continue for a while, you have what they call fibrosis. Pulmonary fibrosis is this causes lung tissue and scarring, and it causes chronic coughing, trouble breathing, mortality. It's a serious issue. So they want to catch it here before we get to fibrosis. So how they do that is their drug binds to the same receptor, and instead of upregulation, it downregulates and it reduces the inflammation and stabilizes relief in the lung function. So it's extremely important to prevent this fibrosis, and that's why this drug is extremely important for people that are afflicted by this disease. Here, if we look at their data, they had a lot of positive results where people were taking the medication and they tried it at different dosages, 1 milligram, 3 and 5. They had the most success at the higher dosages, and they found that 58% overall steroid reduction from baseline, which is good. A lot of these steroids, these corticosteroids that these patients were taking, there was a massive tapering off of these steroids. And we see the history of this company. It had a big spike here, and that was on September 13 when this drug here, the ATyr 1923, met endpoints, and it caused a nice little rally all the way to as high as $13, but it's been down quite a bit. And that's usually how a lot of these companies that aren't profitable, they get catalysts and they get spikes, and then they sell back off once investors take profit. A lot of these drugs, long-term don't usually make it and stay profitable just because their R&D is so high and they're never able to just keep a lot of their revenue. Their net income is always negative. But I think this company does have some potential. So I do like that the CEO is continuously buying shares. Recently, in the last few months, seen a couple hedge funds purchase over 1 million shares. So this is a cheaper stock. So 1 million shares in the grand scheme of the whole portfolio really isn't a lot. But it's good to see that there are some what they call smart money looking into the stock. So we have Deep Track Capital, which you see here, they've purchased 1 million shares, and it's just compared to their portfolio, you see it down here, it's not a big portion of their portfolio. And another company here, Life, also, they purchased 1 million shares, and it's on the low end of their portfolio. So taking a look at their financials, like I said, they're not profitable yet. 2019, 422 million. 2020, 10 million. But this was a partnership with Kyorin, which is a company in Japan, which gives them exclusive rights to sell this and market this in Japan. So there was an initial kind of like an $8 million bonus for giving them the rights, and then a $2 million milestone type of payment. And that was the only revenue they had. They do believe that the total addressable market for this is $3 to $5 billion. And another thing, they've been diluting a lot of shares, and they also have what they call ATM offering program, where they partnered with Capital on Demand and H.C. Wainwright. It basically gives them the right to dilute a certain amount of shares that they've left with a broker at any time. So this could be a pretty strategic. Right now they have a bunch of shares with these brokers, and if they receive like a major catalyst, they're probably going to release some shares. What that's going to do to the stock price, if there's a catalyst, you're going to see a spike and then probably a sell-off as they probably release some of those shares. We look here, there's a market cap of 135 million. Right now, 27 million shares outstanding, which is not much at all. So this, such a low float, this company has potential to spike up with catalyst because the float's so low. But they have been diluting. In 2017, they only had 1.8 million shares, 2.4, 3.3, 9.1, and 19 million shares. The good thing is they don't have a lot of debt. So this is how they raise their capital. There's been some pretty high target prices from different firms. Here they have $18, $13, $19, $22, even $8 on the low end, $7 on the low end. So it's some pretty high targets for a stock that's trading at $4. I'm not doing a DCF just because this is just a quick overview, but I'll do some technical analysis if you're going to swing trade this or day trade this. So going back here, right now they're bouncing off this daily pivot here. So if 45 can hold, if 45 doesn't hold, the next support here is on the weekly pivot here at 425. If 485 doesn't hold, I expect it to be tested here at 427, and that's held in the past quite a bit. You see here, it bounced off of it here, bounced off of it here. It was resistance here, it was resistance here. So it's been resistance and support in the past quite a bit. I would look to wait to see what it does tomorrow. If this doesn't hold, then you can maybe look at getting in at 427 to see if that holds. But if 480 holds, then your next area of resistance will be 540. And then major resistance here at 580. So if you're looking to get in, those are some areas of support and resistance you may want to consider. Next big catalyst will be in next month. That was just a quick overview. I like the company. I like their product. I like the studies that they've done so far. They've received positive feedback. They've already received positive results. And the FDA agrees that this is a very important drug because there's no alternatives. This can probably be something pretty important in the future if they continue to get positive results. But I will put this on my watch list. I think this is going to be important to keep on your watch list. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.